All right, I'll start recording here. Yeah, so I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, so what's going on our power is that we have plenty of power supply in our grid. That's not the issue. What's going on is individual transformers in individual neighborhoods are tripping off, much like a circuit breaker. And the reason they are is that the heat inside the transformer is going up because of excess usage, but it's that with the combination of the exterior heat that is tripping it. Usually this only happens in the winter, but because we're having such high exterior heat, transformers are just shutting down. And when that happens, Avista has to go out and check each individual transformer that shuts down. And it takes them 2 to 4 hours to check a transformer. If it tests out that it's healthy, they'll just turn it back on. If it needs repair, that'll take another 12 to 24 hours. So they were a little surprised to see that happen. That doesn't usually happen in the summer. So to get ahead of it, what they're doing is they're shutting off power 1 hour at a time around the city in rolling locations to lower that heat so the transformer won't trip. You know, essentially people can live without power for an hour, most people, not all, but most people. And then it cools down and then it's not in danger anymore. And so that's what they're going to do, because if you keep the transformer from tripping, you're not going to get into that 2 to 24 hour delay of an entire neighborhood shut down. So they are now implementing that, and they are feeling like things will go better and there'll be fewer blackouts for longer term, but there'll be plenty of 1 hour ones, and they're being strategic. They see where there's cooling shelters and homeless shelters and things like that, and trying to avoid turning those off even for an hour. But that's what's going on, and that's within the last 40 minutes that information came from them.
So your understanding then is that most Avista customers in our area will be experiencing 1 hour blackouts soon?
You know, I can't say most, but I can say there will be rolling 1 hour blackouts through the system, depending on what their analytics tell them will prevent circuit breakers from tripping off.
And then the outages that we see on the outage map right now in Hilliard and Eagle Ridge, are those the rolling blackouts, or are those the 2 to 4 hour blackouts that were caused by the transformers tripping off?
I believe those are the ones that were caused by the transformers tripping off. So they're not the rolling ones. I don't think the rolling ones would be on the outage map. It's the one where there's a more serious problem there. Interesting.
And then did they say anything about why they think those specific neighborhoods had transformers that were tripping off?
You know, there's a baseline of everybody has, you know, I think I looked just now, it's 106 degrees out, but it is basically the excessive use of electricity. And so that's probably going to be different reasons in different neighborhoods. But if I look at a place like Eagle Ridge, I'm going to be thinking that's air conditioning, because I think most of those houses are air conditioned. So as you know, they are asking people, please reduce your electricity usage any way you can while preserving your health and well-being.
One thing that I guess now that we're seeing blackouts in places like Eagle Ridge, this is probably less of a concern, but something I just wanted to ask about anyway, is it looked like the initial blackouts were in the lower income neighborhoods of Spokane, you know, in Hilliard. Is there any equity concern that you see right now?
Well, it definitely looks a little bit like an equity impact before that, but I don't know the cause and effect. I can't say that, well, those transformers have been there longer because they're older neighborhoods, you know, they haven't been updated with new construction. We don't have the data to do that. But what we do know is that we need everyone to reduce their electricity usage, and that not be surprised if there's a 1 hour blackout. That doesn't mean there's a lack of power. There's plenty of power supply. It's just that that's a preventative measure to keep your breaker from tripping off for 2 to 24 hours. And that's probably worth that 1 hour.
So that automated breaker or transformer tripping, what is that designed to prevent? What happens if that function doesn't exist and power just keeps going out?
I think I'm speculating a little bit here. I didn't get
right.
This,
You're not an electrical engineer, I know that.
It's basically a fire explosion type of issue. It's the same reason why you have a circuit breaker in your home, is that if it gets too hot, then there's a risk of the entire system breaking down there and causing a much bigger. So it has an automatic trip off, which protects things and is great. It's working exactly how it's engineered to do. It's just that it's very atypical. We would have both a day this hot on the exterior and this much electric usage.
So it's the internal, it's the heat being created by the generation or the transformation of power combined with the heat from the sun that is causing these boxes to overheat.
Exactly. That's the perfect storm we're in.
Now, there was something interesting in the statement we got from Avista that I wanted to just go over you real quickly, because it would seem to suggest that rather than it being a tripping of an automated system, that it's a decision made by Avista. They said, as a state and federally regulated utility, Avista is required to reduce electric load on the system when certain thresholds are met. In certain areas, these thresholds have been met rather quickly, and to meet the requirement, power has been turned off temporarily. Do you know what they're referring to there? Is that the 1 hour blackouts, or is that something else?
That sounds like the 1 hour blackouts to me. Is that
Okay.
They're basically under regulation to prevent the whole system from going down. And that's how they're doing it. They're saying, hey, if we use the 1 hour blackouts, we'll prevent it. Otherwise, it's just a little bit of a game of Russian roulette of when your breaker, your transformer is going to trip. And then it's not just your house, but it's dozens of houses in the neighborhood for up to 24 hours. And that really would have serious consequences. So yeah, they're trying to manage it as best they can and understand with the data that they've been gathering.
And then this is going to be, obviously this power or this level of heat is not going away today.
Yep.
We're expected to see, if anything, hotter temperatures throughout the week. So could we see more of these rolling blackouts throughout the week?
Yep. Again, just my own brain speculating. Yeah, through the next few days, because it's looks like it's projected to get to 108 today. And then the next 2 days, it's going to be hotter. So we're not going to get any relief really until Friday. And hopefully it will start easing at that point. So, based on the physics that they explained to me and the science, it's not going to get better. So I think this 1 hour blackout, but at the same time, by using the 1 hour blackouts, we should have fewer of those larger blackouts like we have in Hilliard and on Government Way and at Eagle Ridge.
From the city's perspective here, do you feel like Avista was sufficiently prepared for this heat wave?
Well, generally, I'm going to say yes. Obviously, that we didn't know, nobody quite expected this. But to me, I think they're reacting quite promptly to it. I mean, I guess I don't want to throw stones at people. There's things that the city could have done better and can do better. And lots of people, I think a lot of times these natural disaster issues, we always kind of hope it won't be as bad, and then it shows up. I mean, I think even today is hotter than it was predicted to be today. And it may be just as simple as a few degrees that pushed us over that edge. And we really are, unfortunately, in a place today, I think, probably one of the hottest days it's ever been in the history of recorded Spokane history. It certainly will be tomorrow. So we've just never seen it. We've never faced it. And we also, as more and more people buy air conditioners in this city and other electronic, the grid draw is higher. And so you could kind of know, but you don't really know until it happens. Even television sets take so much more power than they used to. So it just accumulates. And then there's that straw that breaks the camel's back. What I want to commend Avista for is so quickly getting on top of it and coming up with a solution.
Days like this, I can only assume with climate change are going to become more common.
Yep.
Is there going to be any desire on the part of city council to encourage or require changes to the electrical grid to be able to handle more days like this as the climate continues to worsen?
Well, as you know, the city council is in the middle of public engagement on our climate resiliency plan. So it is good timing so people can see what the future is right now, and that's going to help us. And so there's, dozens and dozens of interventions that we're going to be recommending to the city to, and both for city operations and utilities. And we look forward to continuing to work closely with Avista. We're talking with our federal lobbyists, trying to get more money for electrical grid upgrades in our community. And so, all of that is we're working on it. But I think that the great thing about our relationship with Avista is that it's very collaborative towards goals of climate resiliency and addressing climate change. It's just a lot of distance to go to get there. And it's a bit of a race against time. I mean, this is all happening in June, not August. And so it is really scary. And there's been plenty of people warning us. And now that reality is coming home. And I'm just glad that we have a draft plan on the table that we can lean into. And days like this show that we're going to have to do even more.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
Just, this opportunity I have, I just want to share with people that if you have air conditioning in your house and you can share space with someone who doesn't, please do. People's lives are at stake. And I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. So if you have some room and you can invite someone who doesn't have air conditioning, please do. And if you have a church or some kind of building that you can share air conditioning with people who don't have it, please do. People's lives are at risk. We need everybody to step up and do whatever they can to help their neighbors.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Casey.
Take care.